Good Wednesday afternoon, and thank you for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Rena Sargentopoulos. Let's get right to your headlines.
I'm Lauren Lemanchek. We have breaking news this afternoon. One person has died after a shooting in South Minneapolis. Police Chief Brian O'Hara saying a man was shot in broad daylight near the 2100 block of 17th Avenue South. During that shooting, police say a stray bullet went into an SUV and under the feet of a toddler and infant sitting in child seats. No one has been arrested. This shooting happening just 3 blocks from where 5 people were shot in South Minneapolis overnight on Tuesday. Police say that happened near 25th and Bloomington around midnight Tuesday, and that 3 people were killed in that shooting. Right now, police are not saying if these are related. However, they are saying the community is telling them that they are. We have several crews gathering information about all of this violence for you. Join us on KARE 11 News at 4, 5, and 6 for the very latest.
Checking the markets right now as growth of the U.S. economy comes to a screeching halt. The Commerce Department today showing the gross domestic product registered at 0.3%. There's a major slowdown from the fourth quarter's 2.4% growth rate. The GDP measures all the goods and services produced in the economy. Now, most economists agree the tariffs on goods coming into the U.S. are to blame, and that President Donald Trump's plans to reshape global trade are likely to send inflation climbing in the United States and possibly trigger a recession. But advisor to the president, Peter Navarro, has a different perspective.
This was the best negative print, as they say in the trade, for GDP I have ever seen in my life. It really should be very positive news for America. So what happened with the numbers today is we had a fairly extraordinary surge of imports that was totally driven by the rest of the world trying to get their products in here before the tariffs took full hold. So the great news about that is that's a one-shot deal. So next time we get the data, that won't be the case at all. And in fact, it'll reverse, and that'll contribute to growth.
A look from Capitol Hill today, where the Senate could vote on a resolution that would effectively block some of President Donald Trump's tariffs. That's according to its co-sponsor, Senator Rand Paul. He believes enough of his fellow Republicans will vote with Democrats for the resolution to pass. The Constitution gives Congress the power to impose duties, but there is a law that lets the president do so under, quote, unusual and extraordinary threats. The Senate resolution would terminate that declaration. The resolution, though, has almost no chance to pass in the House, where language in a new rule protects Trump's tariffs. Shipments from China to the west coast of the U.S. will plummet next week as the impact of President Donald Trump's tariffs leads companies to cut their import orders. Economists expect incoming cargo volume to slide by more than a third next week compared with the same period in 2024. NBC's Steve Patterson has more from the Port of Los Angeles in San Pedro, California.
Yeah, ground zero for the trade war with China is absolutely here in Southern California. These 2 major twin ports, the Port of Long Beach, Port of Los Angeles, which is behind me, account for about 40% of this country's imports, 30% of its exports, and about 50% of all that traffic is business done with China. So now we are starting to feel the ramifications of the 145% tariffs on Chinese goods, which has meant about a 35% reduction in cargo projected for next week. It means also about a 25% reduction in the amount of ship traffic for the month of May in its entirety. What does that mean? It means a lot for the people that live in this community, for the longshoremen. There are about 15,000 of them in this area, a reduction in the number of their hours. And then with that reduction in traffic, it may mean a reduction in the labor force, people getting laid off. And that, of course, extends all the way down the supply chain, the wholesalers, the suppliers, the mom and pop truckers, not to mention the mom and pop businesses in this area. And all of this will eventually extend and hit consumers. A lot of that cost at the retail level has to get passed down at some point. The prediction is the next few months, if not the end of the summer, we'll start to see consumer buying power decrease significantly if the tariff situation doesn't change. Back to you.
The U.S. and Ukraine appear to have come to an agreement on a natural resources deal. According to a source close to the situation, Ukraine's economy minister will sign the document Wednesday. This agreement will give Washington, D.C. access to untapped mineral riches in Ukraine. President Donald Trump has said this can be considered payment for investment into Ukraine by the U.S. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had planned to sign the deal in February during a White House visit, but things fell apart after he and Trump had a contentious meeting in the Oval Office. Well, for the first time, we're hearing from two parents thankful their young son is alive after a devastating fire this week. And one simple part of their bedtime ritual is likely what helped save his life. Mom and her baby are still in the hospital, and their loved ones are grateful this was not much worse. Raya Katene spoke with those parents from the hospital.
Even as police tape surrounds this destroyed home in Andover, gratitude surrounds the family who escaped the fire Monday morning.
I had what's important to me, and that's all that matters.
Speaking to us over the phone from a hospital room, Alana Tees says she remembers waking up to her dog coughing.
Right then and there, I took a breath, and I knew there was something wrong, and I couldn't get into the hall. It was too smoky.
Alana and her partner David's home was on fire, including the nursery where their 9-month-old baby was sleeping. David was already at work, and Alana was able to escape but couldn't get to her baby because of the thick smoke.
Mother, you could tell, was trying to get back into the dwelling to save her baby, but neighbors and responders held her back.
Andover Fire Chief Dennis Jones says it was all hands on deck, knowing a baby was trapped inside the home. With multiple agencies there, first responders from the sheriff's office and fire department rescued baby Reed by climbing into a window.
Out of an unfortunate situation, we had a very nice outcome.
Mom and baby are both alive and healthy. Chief Jones applauding Alana's habit of keeping the nursery door closed, which may have helped save baby Reed. Closed doors help slow the fire and give first responders more time to act.
Thankfully, the parents had the door closed, and it bought us extra time.
As they mourn the loss of their 2 dogs, home, and belongings, Alana says she and her family are just thankful to be alive.
We have what's important to us, and we're eternally grateful to the people that helped us and helped Reed.
Huh? We got hail.
This unbelievable video today showing monsoon-like conditions as heavy rain and extreme wind pounded Pennsylvania on Tuesday. This is about 11 miles from Pittsburgh. You can see the blinding rain slamming these cars. All of them eventually had to turn around because a huge tree fell in front of them on the road. Tonight, several thousand people across Pennsylvania are still without power, and officials say it could be a week before everything is back up and running. Well, today marks 1 week until the Real ID deadline. That means on May 7th, anyone 18 years or older will no longer be able to use their standard driver's license or ID card to board domestic flights. So if you still need to head to the DMV to get a Real ID, here is what you will need. 1 document showing identity, date of birth, and legal status, and 2 documents proving your Minnesota residency, and make sure to know your Social Security number. But if you can't get one by next week, you can also use an enhanced driver's license or a passport. TSA will also accept expired passports up to a year after the expiration date. As of April 1st, the Department of Public Safety says just 41% of Minnesotans have a Real ID. We are tracking a developing situation in St. Louis Park right now, a legal battle between neighbors unfolding over a basketball hoop. One neighbor suing the other in the city over where that hoop is located. Lou Raguse has the details.
After school in St. Louis Park, the Moting boys unwind by shooting hoops.
It was a combined birthday present for them.
But their mom, Lily, and dad, Ross, have been through months of stress after their new neighbors, Julia and Fred Ramos, pointed out the in-ground pole was slightly too close to the property line. After working closely with the city, the Motings installed a new pole that the city council approved.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. But that wasn't good enough.
If I park my car in front of my door, I'm face to face with them, and balls are flying directly at me.
The Ramoses pled their case at multiple meetings.
My kitchen window is right there. I have to watch them. I don't want to have to watch them.
And during the zoning dispute, Julia Ramos filed a restraining order against Ross Moting.
Because I feel unsafe in my own house, because my privacy is broken all the time by grown men climbing through things into my backyard in front of my windows.
My husband has done nothing to deserve a restraining order. I was genuinely worried that our neighbors were going to lie and get my husband thrown in jail.
A judge tossed out the restraining order, writing that there have been no acts of harassment and, at most, there's a squabble over a zoning issue.
I don't like to admit this, but it worries me because this feels like a volatile situation and I don't know what is going to happen next.
But the legal filings didn't stop there. Julia Ramos, who is a former lawyer, is now suing the Moding family and the city of St. Louis Park about the basketball hoop location.
In the latest legal action filed last week, Ramos is asking a judge for a temporary injunction to stop the boys from using the basketball court for the next 4 months, while she does a construction project on her home.
The Ramoses wouldn't comment.
Okay. Well, I'm just curious though, like what am I missing? Yeah, no comment.
Lily says she can't believe what they're going through over a kid's basketball hoop.
They're 9 and 12. They should be able to play.
Stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.